It's nice to like see all these people that have grown up that have had Thursday make such an impact on them while they were growing up. Like that's a really cool thing, you know.
For sure. Are there highlights though over the years?
Of course.
Yeah.
What are some of the highlights for you?
Where to start? I mean, getting to play on the Curiosa Festival, and being included in that world was a lot of fun, and all the Warped Tours have been fun, and
watching Andrew and the drummer from Muse jump a golf cart.
Yeah.
Wait,
A
what?
pile of garbage.
The drummer from Muse and Andrew were jumping golf carts over like
Garbage off of
ramps.
Homemade ramp.
Oh, wait, at Warped Tour?
That was a
this was
Curiosa
tour.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Touring Australia with Flaming Lips and Mars
that was
Volta.
awesome.
That was amazing. There's so many playing.
Reading and Leeds.
Reading and Leeds. First time we played the main stage. Playing on stage with Pete Shelley from the Buzzcocks.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Lots of crazy stuff.
When you guys had put out your Eyeball Records release, had you thought that it would come to this, that you had gotten so far?
Dude, I was just stoked we had posters in an indie record store.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I remember when the poster went up in the indie record store, we're like, wow.
It's really happening.
It happened.
1 second, the follow truck. What's up, guys? We'll do this right after?
Yeah, we're going to hang over here.
Okay, awesome. What did I say?
We were talking highlights.
Oh yeah, talking highlights.
Eyeball release.
Eyeball release.
Oh, the Eyeball release,
Posters
yeah.
in the store, yeah.
Had you had thought that it would have gotten to this, or this far?
I didn't think we'd still be a band, let alone any of the amazing things that have happened to the band, you know. We just kind of thought it'd be something fun to do while we were a part of, the whole town, and, the town had a very specific music culture, and while we were a part of that, the band seemed like it'd be fun to play in that music culture, you know.
Were there goals at the time, though?
But little ones, finishing songs.
Yeah, I don't think it was ever the goals, we want to sell a certain amount of records. It was just kind of let's make it to practice on time. And
It was very realistic and reasonable.
Yeah.
Because we were all at school and didn't even know what we were capable of actually accomplishing. And so it's like you said, let's write 4 songs. Let's make a demo tape.
Let's make a demo tape.
Well, Jeff worked at a studio. Let's see if we can record a CD. Figure that out. I'll get my uncle to take photos for me. You know?
So, as the band went forward, what was the appeal to Sign to Victory?
their willingness to put out a record.
Yeah, they really liked us, and at the time, they had some bands that I really loved. They had Dead Guy, who was a local band that were amazing, and Snapcase, and Grade, and Boy Sets Fire, and it seemed like a place where we would fit in pretty well.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that was naivety on any part. Just like when you see a couple bands and you think, we'll fit in great there without really knowing anything, no matter what the label is, you're obviously being naive, you know what I mean? So, but that was the appeal. They liked us, and they had some bands that we, totally looked up to.
Boy Sets Fire was badass, by the way.
Yeah, they were great.
Yeah. I heard this rumor, I don't know how true it is, but the first single off Full Collapse, that you guys didn't want that to be released, or you didn't know that it was supposed to be released, and the label just put it out or something?
No,
What was that?
No,
There was an argument.
I think they wanted a different one. They wanted to do
Standing on the Edge of Summer. They wanted that to be our first
Yeah,
single.
and we just said that it wasn't a good representation of the band.
Of who we were
Like
as
a
a band.
cross-section, of what we do, so we argued for understanding.
Yeah, we wanted to understand a car crash because we were like, that sounds like Thursday,
Were you surprised by the success of that on MTV2?
Yes.
Yeah.
Completely. We just wanted to put it on their website. Steve called in all of his buddies from college to put it together, and it was totally on the fly, on the road. They came in, met us in North Carolina, set up this rig, a crane that they built out of plywood, and we just shot a bunch of stuff. And did you edit it?
No. They did. All my friends did all that first video, basically as a favor to us, and I don't think they knew it was going to do what it did, and we didn't either. It's kind of interesting though. At that time, people weren't making videos quite on that level. I guess it kind of opened.
And we
New world
were on tour so much then that we didn't even really see it unfold. Like we never really saw it on TV. We were in a van for 9 months a year, so we just came home at the end and we're just like, oh, that works. That works well.
You get phone calls from family being like, yeah, I've seen your video like 10 times today.
And you're like, whatever, Mom.
Yeah. You're delusional. But we were on tour with Saves the Day at the time, who had just put out, what was the record? Stay What You Are, which was like a huge record for them. And, you know, we were the first of 3 bands on the tour, and it was just magical time. We went to the House of Blues in Vegas, and they were playing our video on the little like closed caption, like a closed circuit television, and that was enough for me to like totally blow my mind seeing anything that we had done on TV. And right after I saw that, I started getting it's like, hey, you're all over MTV2. MTV2 was brand new at the time too.
Was it?
Yeah, it was pretty new. It was at least couldn't have been more than a year old.
And videos started to get huge, like right around then too. Yeah, how did all that attention on just that video alone change your lives?
I guess it sort of set in motion a bunch of other things, but it's hard to really say because, like I said, we were doing so much other stuff. We were on tour all the time. We were opening for everybody. We were doing a lot of press, so it's hard to say that it was just the video or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a big change, man. Becoming like, I guess, in some ways, a professional band.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like making your living doing music.
Yeah, that whole time period was just kind of a transition from like, hey, this is just like a hobby that like is, you know, just something we do completely for fun to like, wait a second, I might be able to pay my bills with this, you know? Like,
So I could keep doing it for the next few years? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that was cool.
Were there ever times or tough times where you thought that this band wasn't going to work?
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Tell me about some of those.
Several times every year.
It's just hard being in a band for a long time, you know?
Yeah.
It's like you get close with people, and then you like have your ups and downs with them, and you also get so close to the art, and then you decide that you hate the art. You know what I mean? It's just, it's very volatile.
Being on tour at that point, when a lot of this stuff was going on, it was like 2003, 2004. It was like we were on tour for 9 months out of the year, all cooped up together, so it was like easy to get irrational about things that may not have bothered you otherwise, but, you know, regarding anything really. So.
Zero perspective.
Yeah.
Makes it hard to see straight.
Is there a line of separation that separates the art from the actual business side for you?
I don't really see the two being related very much. If anything, not having money keeps you from doing some of your grander ideas.
Yeah.
But that's really about it, you know, like, it'd be like, oh, I want to have, like, you know, this crazy part where we do an instrumental and then this little movie by Spike Jonze comes on, you know, whatever. Like, whatever idea that you have that you're like, well, you can't afford to do that. Okay, I guess we won't do that. But, I mean, that's most of where money and art comes up against each other, you know, or like, oh, we'd really like to go out and play, like, 3 weeks of free shows, but we'd have to spend out of our own pockets $170,000 or whatever.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, we can't do that. We don't have that money. So it's weird. Like, they're really not related too much at all. It's just like the money can be a barrier for the art sometimes. You know, sometimes it's not. Sometimes you're just recording stuff at home and you're like, great, sounds awesome. Let's put it out.
Yeah.
Did you feel any of that when you guys were on Island?
It was a lot easier on Island in some ways because there was so much money.
Oh yeah.
It was like we would have an idea and they'd be like, okay, sure, let's try it,
Yeah.
let's do it. You know,
Really?
and, you know, but it was. I think it became a burden at some point when, you know, they were spending money and we weren't meeting expectations. I think that there was like an unspoken sense of pressure, you know, that kind of, I don't know, it's put us in a bad place mentally. I think that had a lot to do with, you know, the stress of that time period. But.
Yeah, because I mean, it was like they're spending money, so they wanted to be making more money than they were. And they'd be like, I love the record. You know, they'd be like, well, the record's great, but it's not selling enough.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, that's not my business. You know what I mean? Like, we made a record that you say you like, so that's my part. If you want to go try and sell it, have fun, but that's not my business. I'm going to go out and play these songs for people. You know what I mean? And I think sometimes the label would feel like, well, we spent all this money for you to make the art. Now it's your job to go out and sell it. And we were like, well, we don't know how to do that.
Beyond playing.
Yeah, we're just playing.
Doing.
We're playing those songs. I'm not going to like dress up in a clown suit and do backflips. You know what I mean? Although the same clown posse makes so much money.
Is this a humbling experience for you all? Touring, being in a band?
I think it's a little of both. Sometimes, you know, it makes you feel great about yourself because there are all these people singing like music, and other times, you know, you're haven't showered in 3 days because you can't, and that's very humbling. Yeah, it's a mix, man. It's definitely, I think it builds character being in a band, no doubt about it.
What about you guys? Your thoughts?
Yeah, I'd agree. It's definitely a very unique situation, you know. It's, you know, it's exactly what Geoff said, you know. Like some days you feel like, wow, like I can't believe I'm accomplishing this, and other days you're like, really? 30 years old and I'm sleeping on a floor again? you know, like,
what do you think about the musicianship and how that has changed over the years when you see bands like Broken Side and stuff like that?
Well,
Some bands have it, some bands don't.
Yeah, some bands are like getting way better. Like there are bands that I see now that I'm like, wow, like never saw anything like that before. You know, bands like Envy and the new Russian Circles record's so amazing. And there's so many records that I've gotten this year that I'm like, wow, this is another leap forward. You know what I mean? The Fucked Up record. It's like, wow, I can't even believe there's a punk band out there that's this raw and this experimental at the same time. And then on the other side, there's stuff that I'm like, this one's a joke, right, guys? I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for the punchline. No? Serious? No? And the band's bigger than my band? Okay, great. Have fun.
I would say it was clever. Like, there's a lot of, like, clever music out, but I don't find it very clever, but I think a lot of people do. Like, people who are, like, downloading it and, like, are really into, like, the newer bands. Like, it's not necessarily, as far as I can tell, about like, wow, what great musicians. It's like, wow, that's a clever hook. Like, that's a good marketing scheme that you got going there. Like, a lot of people are getting really into that. You know, it's not so much like, wow, this is like life-changing music. Like, these chords are like the saddest chords I've ever heard. It's like, wow, we're crazy. Like, blah.
Yeah, that guy's screaming, and it's a beatbox, and he's got hair like that.
Yeah.
But he wears
techno.
big sweatshirts. Yeah.
Techno in it.
As far as public relations goes, do you see public relations being increasingly important with newer bands than bands from 10 years ago?
It seems like it's all they think about these days.
Yeah. I think that what you were saying before, asking about as far as the where music and business intersect, I feel like there's some bands that know that, all right, I make music, and it's, you know, for better or for worse, it's art. You know, like it or hate it, it's someone producing something because they care about it, and then and trying not to concern themselves with PR, marketing, and letting other people take care of it. And then there's other bands that just kind of take the whole thing into like this conglomeration of I don't know, business music.
yeah, unfortunately, it seems to be the latter more so lately, where it's just like that's all they give a shit about. Is like it's less about a song and more about how am I going to market the song that I didn't write yet. You know, like what's going to be the gimmick, what's going to be whatever bullshit we can, you know, pull off. I don't know.
Well, the thing to me too is like, on some ways, I feel like marketing and business can be an art, and like if these bands like sew up their art into the marketing of their band and stuff, it can be really interesting. But I feel like so much art out there, there's a lot of bad marketing art.
Yeah.
Like some it's like bad ideas. You know what I mean? Like,